It's time for the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship. Round 5 of 10 for 2019. We're at the Championship of Utah in Tooele at Utah Motorsports Campus. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the broadcast. My name is Greg White, standing alongside Jason Pridmore, who's won 2 national titles at this level. Now, Jason, we've already had race 1 here at Utah Motorsports Campus on our 2.2-mile circuit. What did you learn from Superbike race yesterday?
Well, it was exactly what we thought it was going to be, Greg. It was close, tight racing in all of our classes across the board. There's going to be a lot of people coming out making changes for race 2 in all their respective classes. It's going to be another busy day.
And even though we've had a warm-up here in the EBC Brake Superbike class, that is not going to tell the story of this race, because the changes they are making, we're predicting much closer racing. Now let's take a look at some highlights from yesterday and how the race unfolded.
At the start of race 1, it was Cameron Beaubier from pole position, getting the edge on the field as they rolled into turn 1 ahead of Tony Elias. A very aggressive Garrett Gerloff shoved his way underneath Matthew Schultz for third. Josh Herron, who got a slow start, started picking his way through the field and was able to go up underneath his teammate Tony Elias in the turn 6, turn 7 area. At this point, we had 7 Superbikes fighting for the lead as Garrett Gerloff then decided to follow suit and pass Tony as well. As the race continued to move forward, everyone was waiting for things to start to happen, and JD Beach was the guy that looked like he was ready to start doing it as he moved himself into 4th. But directly after that, him and Gerloff got together going into turn 13, bumped themselves back. Tony Elias just picked up 2 spots. Then Josh Herron thought it was going to be his turn to lead at the front. He takes the point over Cameron Beaubier after a bunch of laps following behind. Tony Elias sees his teammate get to the front. He decides to start making a charge himself. He goes underneath Garrett Gerloff, and then not soon after passes his teammate Josh Herron for second. All the while, Cameron Beaubier sitting back there, but then Matthew Schultz started coming to the forefront as well. He bumps his way through to second place, and we saw Josh Herron run into problems very late in the race. Not as big of a problem as JD Beach, though. He ran a little bit wide in the 6-7 area, and on his way back onto the track, clipped the curbing and fell over for no finish. But it was Tony Elias dominating win. It didn't look like it was going to be so dominating at the beginning of that race.
Here's a look at the results. It was Tony Matthew Schultz with his 2nd podium of the year. Garrett Gerloff, another podium for him. But Cameron Beaubier in his bid for this championship in 4th spot. Jake Lewis in 5th. He's having this 5th place thing. He's got to start moving up on that one. Josh Herron, Jake Gagne, who we called yesterday. It was a clean start if you listened to the broadcast yesterday. So Jake Gagne credited with 7th. Jason Uribe, yes, that's a Honda CBR 1000RR. Championship standings here, JP. Beaubier slips back to 21 points. Gerloff 56 behind Josh Herron. So something has got to be done about Tony Elias. We are at the halfway point of the season. We'll take a break here on FS2. When we come back, the Championship of Utah gets closer to race start here on FS2's coverage of MotoAmerica. Fox Sports coverage of MotoAmerica Superbike racing from Utah is brought to you by EBC Brakes, the official brakes of the 2019 MotoAmerica Superbike Series. All right, you can see the grid is clearing, which means it's time to bring you the starting grid and how they qualified yesterday. Cameron Beaubier, Tony Elias, Garrett Gerloff on the front row.
Then we got Matthew Schultz from 2nd place yesterday. Greg, see if we can duplicate that. Josh Herron, hope he's feeling a little bit better today. And JD Beach, feeling like I probably think JD's got some stuff to prove to himself today. I think he can run up there. Jake Lewis, row 3. Cameron Peterson, who we didn't get to see finish yesterday, so hopefully he can. David Anthony's back there on row 3. Then we got Jason Uribe. Great to see him flying the Honda colors. Jake Gagne, who I had a quick chat with this morning. And Kyle Wyman is going to round out row 4. We go further back, Greg, to Matthew Orange, Max Flinders, Sam Verterico, and Jeremy Coffey rounds out our field in row 6.
Here it is, race start. Race number 2, EBC Brakes Superbike. How is this one going to play out? On a full fuel load yesterday, Tony Elias wasn't as comfortable. Did they get that sorted out? We know Cam Beaubier has the potential to go a lot faster. Here we go. So it's the mad dash to turn 1. Tony Elias with a good launch, but Cameron Beaubier will lead us in.
Yep, Cameron Beaubier leads him in, and Garrett Gerloff slots himself into 3rd like we saw yesterday. Big tussle going for 4th right now between, looks like, JD Beach. But I can't tell, is it Matthew? Is it? Let's have a look. Cameron Beaubier, no. So Matthew Schultz, it was between JD and Garrett Gerloff. So Matthew Schultz, my mistake, is slotted himself into that 3rd spot.
Tony Elias with a better start for himself. Feeling out the front end of his GSXR 1000. That factory machine, race winner yesterday, played it just right. We know from the post-race interview with Honda that Tony Elias said that bike felt better and better and better as the fuel load started to drop. Now, not tremendous fuel loads here up at this altitude, not some of the fuel loads we've seen at other racetracks, but still, when you put that much weight right underneath Tony's chest, sometimes it can load up the front end of that motorcycle and make it feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Yep. And, you know, I think that the pattern that we saw yesterday was a group of 6-7 guys not really going anywhere. This guy was leading, and look at what he's done so far, Greg. Right now, Cameron Beaubier has pulled the trigger and has opened up a small little gap already to Tony. We didn't see that yesterday at all. So maybe Cameron found something with his team. You can see how tight these guys go into that right-hand corner there. 2 turns from the end, turn 12. But Cameron has kind of pulled the pin early here. Maybe they found something overnight that made the bike a little bit more rideable, a little bit better, and that along with Tony talking about the bike maybe feeling a little uneasy during with a full fuel load. Garrett Gerloff trying to make a pass on Matthew Schultz early as they go into turn 1.
Nice
big
by
pass.
Gerloff. So tight he threw that corner. Gerloff gets it done. He sees his teammates starting to set sail off in the distance. Cameron Beaubier, by the way, a tire choice on the rear side. He chose extra soft Dunlops in the front and rear for this one. He said yesterday, Jason, that he was surprised that no one was going past him because he knew he was about a second off. And Cameron Beaubier has already done a 30.7
wow.
from a dead stop.
Yeah. And you know, you're looking right now, and I'm looking at Garrett Gerloff. He's got a ton of pace as well. He wants to try to get by Tony Ilias as quickly as he can so that he can do the same thing as Cameron Beaubier is doing out front. The Yamahas look really strong right now.
And for Cameron Beaubier, that extra soft compound choice for him allows him just better feel throughout the entire motorcycle, mid-corner, and he just feels like it hooks up better. Makes the bike feel like he wants it to feel. It wasn't comfortable yesterday. Oh, Tony's got some decals hanging off the side.
Garrett might take a shot at him down here in turn 13, and well, Yoshimura Suzuki still very fast coming down there. So he's not able to quite get close enough. Tony runs it really tight into turn 14. And Matthew Schultz, we see Josh Herron just on the back of this group, and then just behind them, right now, Jake Lewis is trying to keep in touch with these guys. See what he does, Greg. Minute 29.7.
Wow.
Wow, that is fast. That is really fast because
a 29.8 was qualifying time.
I was just going to say qualifying was in the 29s as well. So that's from a standing start. Cameron right now, I think he's got to start thinking he's got to put some race wins together. He can't let Tony get a lot of momentum as we head off to Laguna Seca, WeatherTech Laguna Seca. He knows that Tony knows that his whole family's coming to town that weekend as far as the World Superbike crew from overseas. Tony's done really well there in front of them in the past. So Cameron right now is trying to open up that data, and he has, Greg. 1.4 seconds after lap 1.
By the way, looking at Garrett Gerloff, he had a mechanical issue. His bike was not 100% when he came across the line yesterday, and his team figured that out right away and made those repairs. We're here till about 7:30, 8 o'clock last night, making the repairs to that motorcycle. So Gerloff, when I was speaking with him earlier today, was coming into this race with just a ton of confidence, but not as much as after warm-up. Cameron Beaubier did a 1:30.1 in warm-up this morning.
Saw that.
And just felt perfect. He led the way, and he had a ton of confidence. And of course, we know yesterday it was a bit of a disaster, and if Beaubier wants to make up anything on Tony Elias, who sends the rear wheel in the air, hard braking in this one, he's got to have some of these riders to put some daylight between. He needs people to fill some holes, because losing 5 points to Cameron Beaubier, Tony Elias at this point in the championship isn't really going to put a dent in what Beaubier really needs to accomplish.
Yeah, because the lead that Elias had built up for himself going into MotoAmerica was just swiped away really quickly by one little small mistake that he made in the last right-hander, and it just tightened this points gap back up. And then he comes and wins yesterday with Cameron finishing a little bit further back and forth. Man, all of a sudden that points gap gets back up. Garrett Gerloff could do that, do his teammate a lot of favors right now if he could figure out his way past Tony Elias right now.
Yeah, because when you have a team, and this is part of the strategy of having a team, having a two-rider team, is if one of your riders is involved in a championship and your other rider can influence how those points are, it makes a big difference. Josh Herron, looking at just Josh's riding right now, just a lot of laps, Jason. 23 around here, no place to rest. Josh Herron, I hope that his back is feeling okay. He said he got it stretched out, but we really know as this race wears on for him.
And just the difference between yesterday's race and this race is obviously the pace. That's why we're not seeing these guys bunched up like they were yesterday. The pace today is so much faster. 30.1. You know, we saw Cam Beaubier get into the 29s right off the bat. So Beaubier set a very fierce pace at the front. All these other guys are going along with him. Right now, even Matthew Skultz, looking up on our board, has gone green-green, which is his fastest 2 first splits on our screen. So the pace overall for the first, 4 laps, Greg, is faster than it was yesterday.
Yeah, but the margin right now is 1.5 seconds.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest, with what we've seen out of Tony Elias, 1.5, which now turns into 1.8.
Yep.
Okay, it's grown.
Yep.
But it's only lap 5.
Yep.
When that fuel load starts to drop and Tony gets more comfortable and starts to figure out what he has available in terms of traction, how his bike is working, when we get to the halfway point of this thing, that's really going to start telling the story if Cameron Beaubier has built up enough of a lead. I'm not saying that Tony Elias is going to all of a sudden start doing faster laps, but history's shown us that he has the possibility to do it.
Beaubier getting a little bit out of shape out of turn 4 or out of turn 5. Greg, I think the thing that you're saying that will also add to his confidence will be that if he starts to see his board say +1,
meaning
Tony Elias.
Yeah.
Once he realizes that he doesn't really have a lot of pressure from behind, he'll be able to run his race, run his lines, try to keep eyes focused on where Cameron Beaubier is up in front of him. And really, you're right, past that halfway point will be the real teller to see how much he has in the tank.
And in the points championship, it's only 21. So it's not like if Tony gets into a position where he throws caution to the wind, he could lose the points lead if Beaubier wins. Suzuki track weather that we have here in the area, you can see 81 degrees, so a bit warm. 6-mile-an-hour wind, so very mild for the Tuella Valley this time of year. Usually we see winds really whipping around. It's just been a fantastic couple of days since we've been at Utah Motorsports Campus. So this EBC Brakes Superbike class, Cameron Beaubier leads from Tony Elias, Garrett Gerloff. Things have started to spread out a bit. Matthew Skultz, JD Beach, Josh Herron, Jake Lewis in 7th spot, Jake Gagne in 8th, Cameron Peterson and Kyle Wyman with Jason Uribe.
And there you go, Greg. 30.1 from Tony Elias in 2nd place. Took that gap, and maybe people at home might not think it's much. It went from 1.8 to 1.7, and that gap now has kind of started to stop. He's not getting pulled away from as much now. So Tony's going to notice that. I mean, that's what he's going to do. He's paced himself. He's seeing what's going on. He's going to keep grinding these laps down. He realizes he's only on lap 6 of 23, and you can see the separation of the pace up front and what it has done. JD Beach is now falling quite a ways behind Matthew Skultz. He's got Herron just behind him. Jake Lewis is actually trying to close up on these two right now. 31 flat the last time by for Jake Lewis on that M4 X-Star bike, just in the back there on the yellow.
If this is your first time watching EBC Brakes Superbike here at MotoAmerica, no communication between crew and riders allowed in motorcycle road racing. So the only time the riders get communication from their pit is a pit board on start-finish line. Luckily for Cameron Beaubier at this point, these laps are relatively short, Jason, 1 minute 30 seconds because of the length of the racetrack and the rolling speed as well. So at this point, we watch JD Beach leading Josh Herron, the number 2. Cameron Beaubier out front. Tony Elias, Garrett Gerloff, Matthew Skultz. Who has got it to the finish line on this one? Great onboard shot with Josh Herron.
Yeah, I love looking at this shot. You can really see how physical this track is and what these riders go through. He's going to switch it back over to the right. He'll probably stay here through this next big fast right. This is going to be 3rd gear, probably almost on the limiter. Back over to the left, 1 downshift into 2nd, Greg. This is going to all be 2nd, and you can see JD Beach just in front of him. He's trying to figure out a way through. Sounds like he might have even gone back to 1st there, and then he'll short shift it maybe up to 2nd. But yeah, very, very busy. Very rarely are you in the middle of the seat. And he's really trying to line up a pass on JD right now.
JD Beach, Attack Performance, Estenson Racing, Yamaha, also racing in the American Flat Track Series. And Jason, what's very interesting about this altitude, we talked about 5,000 feet. I was talking to Richard Stamboli from Attack Performance. We were talking about performance of the engines up here. One of the things to note is normally meaning Attack Performance Yamaha, likes to run around 74 to 85 degrees centigrade in terms of the actual temperature that you would read. Up here in the race yesterday, when JD was behind riders, it was running about 96 C. When he was by himself like he is now, meaning he's pushing air, it's about 93. So there is a little bit of performance robbed just because of the altitude that we're at, and the engines naturally run a lot warmer. You lose about 12 to 15% horsepower when you come up to this altitude for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, there's no doubt, and you really got to keep an eye on that temp gauge. And a lot of tracks that you go to, as a rider, you don't really. Josh Herron rolls right up underneath. Rolls up underneath. He looks like he's got some pace on JD Beach, does Josh Herron. So he was able to make a nice clean pass there. So we're going to keep an eye on his lap times now and see what he can do. But yeah, this is the one track where the crew chiefs are always like, hey, keep an eye on that temp gauge just so we kind of know where things are. And you can see here, Greg, good to see Jake Lewis battling there, up there with these guys. Looking at lap times again, they were all in the 31s. JD might have been holding up Herron just a little bit, but that's yet to be determined. We'll see if JD can go with him, and maybe they can bridge that gap up to Matthew Skoltz.
Attack Performance, Essenson Racing of JD Beach is obviously the crew on the motorcycle working on chatter on that motorcycle, and so there were some minor fork adjustments done this morning. They thought they had that sorted out, but it might be back out. We heard Kyle Wyman on the Ducati that's gone right through pit lane. Not sure what happened to Kyle, so if you're a Ducati fan, he's now down in 14th spot, at least for the moment on our scoring screens.
Yep, there's a good look at Matthew Skoltz, still within reach of this podium. Gerloff just there up there in front of him.
Now, Jason, last time by the stripe, Tony Elias was a 30.8, and Cam Beaubier was 0.7 of a second quicker. So we're going to hit start finish line now. So we're going to see if maybe that was a mistake from Elias last time by.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It comes down to 1.7, wasn't it? And then next thing you know, 0.7. And now they've gone through again, Greg. That gap is at 2.3, so he did knock a 10th off. So for sure, Tony must have just made a small mistake somewhere. I did notice it because I saw Gerloff had gotten closer to him as they went down into turn one. There's a little bit a battle further back between Jake Gagne, Cameron Peterson, and I believe it's Jason Uribe back there with those guys. So these three are in a personal little fight. We got a BMW, a Yamaha, and a Honda. Talking to Gagne a little bit today when I saw him in the pits. He looked like he's walking around just a little bit better. Said he's fairly happy with things. Still working on getting that BMW, that Hayes BMW, where it needs to be, and just continuing to get himself healthy. I mean, it's really hard when you've been trying to ride this bike with a physical deficit, and that's kind of what Jake has had.
And also, Jason, one of the things that Steve Scheibe was telling me that Jake Gagne, he always does his fastest laps of the weekend in the race. And so that race one is very critical to get them to race two and make some adjustments. All right, let's get down to Hannah, third member of our team. What's going on, Hannah?
A few minutes ago, Jason mentioned that this is such a physical track, so I wanted to ask you, the riders spend so much time on the side of the tire. Is there a particular manufacturer or a particular rider that's really a strong suit of theirs?
Well, yeah, it's a good question because we've seen the Suzukis have been a little bit more point and shoot, like how Tony rides. I think Cameron doesn't mind spending a little bit more time on the edges of the tires. The Yamaha also seems to work really good as far as tire wear goes. So, and if you really watch the efficiency of which Cameron Beaubier rides, and we've said this many times before, the efficiency level that he has really allows him to continue to push the pace throughout. That said, that time came down again, Greg, 2.1, so it's just a 10th. It's a 10th a lap, but what that does is it gives you a little bit of confidence if you're Elias there in second and you see Cameron start coming back. But for sure, Hannah, answering back to your question, the efficiency of which this guy rides right now, Beaubier up in front, and I believe the tire wear, the Yamaha, it doesn't mind being on the edge a little bit.
Now, when Jason talks about efficiency, watch Cameron Beaubier's body. Watch when he transitions from different spots on the racetrack. Look how little movement there is on his body. And Jason, I had a talk with Cameron Beaubier about that exact topic this morning. And he said, yeah, I feel like for some of the other riders, I ride more efficiently. And he trains a lot. I mean, obviously, these are some of the top athletes in the world in physical conditioning. And Beaubier said after 23 laps racing here yesterday, he was tired.
Yep, absolutely, because that's what it is. It is really a physical track. And there is nobody more efficient than him on the track. I used to say the same thing about Josh Hayes as well. And you can see Kyle Wyman again coming back in. So
Hannah told us yesterday that Kyle and his SC Project KWR Ducati had some not overheating issues. It wasn't overheating, but it was running really, really hot.
Getting a little nervous about it?
Yeah. And so the possibility that something like that may be going on again, hard to say at this point, but if Kyle's in for good, I'm sure Hannah will have a report on it. So the Ducatisti, the race fans for the Ducati V4R, disappointed that Kyle Wyman is back in the pits on this one. Beaubier now with a 2.5 second lead. Oh, they're doing some work on something up there, so it doesn't seem like it might have been that. Yeah, something else going on.
30.4 that time by for Cameron Beaubier. Increased his lead to 2.5 as they continue to try to figure out what is going on with Kyle Wyman's Ducati. You know, it's funny, Greg, because that bike really has done a lot of laps this year. We haven't seen it in the pits much. So whatever it did, it looked like it was something clutch, or I don't know what they could have been maybe trying to adjust up in that front area like that.
And by the way, the motor is still stock. It's a stock motor. They purchased that off a showroom floor, more or less. And that's the same one they've been running all season. So they have a second one, and after this race weekend, they're going to change it out and run that stock motor probably till the end.
Yeah, right.
Did you see Cam right there? He just got up on that inside of that curb, and that just made my heart skip a beat for just a moment.
And we've seen some riders. Matt Mladen comes to play in my mind of him touching that inside curbing and falling down through there as well. So yeah, I saw the same thing you did.
I was just like, wow. Last time by the way, Beaubier 30.4, Tony Elias 30.7. So it's not the march forward that we've seen. Actually, Garrett Gerloff at a 30.5. It looks like he's starting to reel in Tony Elias at the moment, and this would be exactly what this guy wants, Cameron Beaubier. So let's see now. We got another look at lap times. There's start-finish line. We're going to do a full lap on the onboards here, Jason. So listen to Cameron Beaubier and tell us what are you listening for?
Well, you're going to hear an upshift out of here, Greg. This is going to be a really fast ride. I want to hear if he goes back to first. You hear it up to third. It's going to be back to second. Yep, back there, and then into this very tight right-hand turn 5. Probably a short shift out of here. It sounds it's a little bit off to me, Greg, right now, so it's throwing me off a little bit. But this is fast turn 6 as they go down towards the 7-8 double apex area. Pay attention too, Greg, that there's no lag between roll off to downshifts. They happen very quickly. It's going to be there's not a lot of coasting, let's just say. Then that's what you're going to hear from the onboard cameras. A lot of the top riders. There's not going to be a lot of coasting time from the time you roll the throttle off and get that downshift done.
Through the attitudes now into turn 11. This is Tuella corner. Tuella turn into the kink, and now they're going to head off into the clubhouse. You can see that building right in front of you is the clubhouse, so it's clubhouse corner. Into turn 14, it's going to be the wind-up right-hand corner. You can listen to those downshifts being done quickly, and then into release. Onto the front straightaway goes Beaubier.
He likes to run it really tight on the exit there of those curbings. I was watching this morning. We had our camera guys got some really good replays of him running it real tight there. Let's look at here, 2.4. So they basically ran the same lap time, did the 2 leaders, Beaubier and Elias.
That's 2 in a row. So a look at JD Beach being hounded by Jake Lewis as Cameron Beaubier continues to lead from Tony Elias, Garrett Gerloff, Matthew Skoltz, and Josh Herron. This battle for 6th rages on just at about the halfway point of this race. So JD Beach, we really thought, you know, talking to Richard Stamboli, and JD felt good. He was really confident. Oh, rider down.
Looks like a bike was in the air fence there, didn't it, Greg? Yeah, I saw the dirt. So I'm gonna look at the first splits and see if there's any of our front runners don't make it through that first split. So it looks like the first 3 guys have. It looks like Matthew has not gone through the first split, Greg. So I'm concerned that could be Matthew Skoltz in that turn 6 area.
Yeah, because it didn't look like it happened immediately. Like
it is Matthew.
There was dust. So it looks like Matthew Skoltz might be out of this one. Yep, it is. So there is the Westby Racing Yamaha number 11 bike down. So Skoltz out of this one. He crashed himself out of 5th place. So that's going to move Josh Herron. Actually, Skoltz was in 4th, I think, wasn't he?
Skoltz was in 4th,
yeah,
exactly
so
right.
Move Herron up to
4th. This is the battle for 5th here, isn't it?
Yep, just like that.
We've seen Jake finish 5th a few times this year, have we not? And there's Matthew. So he got buried in that Road Racing World air fence that so many people have donated to, and you can see Matthew looks a little worse for wear right now. I'm hoping he can just get himself up over that. And it looks like we got a red flag, Greg. Yeah, I think that air fence, it looked like he had maybe slid underneath it. He was getting up, which was good to see. He was covered in dust. Looked like his visor had gone off. There he is. He's up and he's okay now. He must have lost the front very, very early, because that is the beginning of where the air fence actually is. And if you look, Greg, you can see that the air fence just started at that spot. So
yeah, I'm just hoping he got to the air fence.
I am too. Yes.
So Cameron Beaubier leads this one. There's 11 laps to go in this race. We're going to take a break. On the other side of this commercial break, we'll get things sorted out here for the EBC Brakes Superbike class here for MotoAmerica. Welcome back to Utah Motorsports Campus. Red flag is over. Riders out on a quick start procedure. Jason Pridmore, they've already done a sighting lap. Now they're on their warm-up lap. It's time for grid and go. We've been cut to 10 laps, so this is going to be a flat-out 10-lap sprint race.
Absolutely, and it's just going to be a really interesting first corner when they get down there. I think, again, I talk about it sometimes. Some tracks we go to, the first 20, 30 seconds are the most important, and this one here is really that case for me. Cameron's going to be looking to duplicate the start he got the first time. A couple other guys are going to try to get better ones.
Yeah, for Tony Elias, the fuel load has been dropped. He mentioned to us in the break that it's good. He's got rear grip, he's got front grip, and that fuel load is perfect right now. Here we go. It's going to be start number 2 for race number 2 of the EBC Brakes Superbike class. Can Cam Beaubier do it again? Revs are up. Away we go. And Cam Beaubier he didn't get the launch.
No, when he dropped the clutch, Greg, the bike definitely lurched and the front wheel came up off the ground. Look at Josh Herron trying to roll around the outside of Garrett Gerloff. But right now we got Tony Elias in front, Cameron Beaubier, and then Garrett Gerloff, and it looked like Herron slotted himself into 4th.
It was Kyle Wyman who ran off the track and crashed in the back there. He tipped the motorcycle over. So Kyle Wyman on the restart looks like he is down. But up front, Tony Elias, there he is, the 33.
What a bummer. I mean, especially to be 3 laps down and then have an issue like that going into the first turn. Glad he's up and okay, but this is where it's going to be now. Cameron's got to fight those demons of, I was leading and now I'm second, and he's got to start to think of ways of which he's going to try to get by Tony.
And Tony Elias with a clear track, exactly what he likes.
And because he can control things. He controls things from the front so well, does Elias. And so Beaubier now has just got to kind of go to work, and I feel like he's going to try to strike early, Greg. He might. There you go. Look, wow. Did you see how fast he just got out of those? And it allowed Gerloff to go by. Gerloff goes by both of them.
What a move by Garrett Gerloff. Wow. Look at Tony trying to say, hey, why don't you
Look at Gerloff trying to fire a shot at Tony right now as they go. Good job by Garrett Gerloff. Now he's got to fight.
Tony.
Yep, and I'm not sure what he's gesturing at. You're racing. I mean, you got guys that are hungry and they want to try to beat you. So, and good for Garrett Gerloff, and he's throwing shots. That might have been what Josh Hayes was talking to him about.
So Garrett Gerloff roughing up Tony Elias. Tony trying to get everybody to follow behind him because he's trying to make a break. Garrett Gerloff's having none of it.
No, and I don't blame him. Good for Garrett. And his teammate almost ran in the back of Tony Elias as they came out of the attitudes, and Garrett stuffed his way up through the front. Tony went back by. Garrett let off the brakes and went back by him again. So, and I think Garrett's hungry.
Garrett is hungry, and he thinks he's got pace, and definitely doesn't want Tony setting it. If Garrett Gerloff has a chance, where's he going to do it again? Look at him. He's trying to line him up.
A little bit wide there. See how Tony controls that apex?
Yeah.
He's going to be tighter on the exits in some of these corners, and now it's going to make the other two guys. We talked about Josh Herron prior to the start of this race, and look where he's at, Greg. He was nowhere to be seen in that first leg. Now, all of a sudden, he gets a little reprieve. He's right there on the back of the podium finishers.
Ooh, Gerloff.
Gerloff a little bit out of the seat.
Just on that transition, the rear end let loose for a second. Going to lose him a little bit of time.
Oh, Cameron backing the thing in. And this is where Cameron now is starting to get a little bit desperate. He knows he's got such few laps, and here he comes. He's trying to do something with his teammate as they come into this turn 13. He's going to slide up underneath him, Greg.
Hold your breath. Can he hold it? So Beaubier gets a position. Is Gerloff going to fire right back at him? Not for the moment. Man.
And I can assure you, Cameron's going to go up there and fire a shot. There's not even a question in my mind. But I'm worried about that number 2 back there because Josh Herron is not going to be afraid to do that either. And he can hold on for another 8 laps with that back, no problem.
Turn number 1. Tony Elias having his way. Cam closed up.
30.3 to 30.5 for Beaubier, having to go past his teammate as well. So these guys are right back almost to the pace that they were on new tires. 29.7 was the fastest from Beaubier, but we saw them running this pace. I think we're gonna see down through the attitudes into turn 11, Twelly turn. I think clubhouse corner turn 13 is the spot that Beaubier is going to try to make his pass.
Closing up there through the apex, loses a couple bike lengths on the drive. But Beaubier's making Tony Elias aware of the fact that he is right there and ready to pounce. So these two starting to break away from the field just a bit, a couple of bike lengths from Gerloff. But what a restart from Josh Herrin, just reset himself.
Yep.
We talked about it, man. This is Herrin territory. He can dig deep.
Yeah, no, this is what Josh Herrin loves. He loves a fight, and now he knows he's back in the front, and he's got, hey, anything can still happen. He can still win this race. There you go. There's the drive that Beaubier gets. He's going to try to do everything he can. That Yosh bike is fast down the straightaway. It's going to take a huge move down there, and Tony will just protect this. He'll move over to the right out of here and go into this right-hander tight, and then he'll do the same out of that next left, and that's what's going to make him so hard to pass. He's going to come out of this right, move right over to the left, Greg, and make it very hard for anybody to go down the inside.
All right, as we head on to the front straightaway, the red flag was caused by Matthew Schultz. He's with Hannah right now. Hannah?
All right, Matt. The bikes are going by here. It's a little loud. I think he wants to see where everyone is. But we had an unfortunate crash with you this afternoon. It looked pretty bad. Tell us about what happened.
I mean, I was feeling pretty good in fourth place. I don't think I was going to catch Gerloff or Tony. But I was gapping the guys back and fifth, so I mean I was happy with how the race was going, but just unfortunately hitting the brakes into corner 5, I was just slightly wide and I was on the curb, and just as I hit the brakes, I just lost the front, you know. So I got to say sorry to the Westby guys. They gave me a really good motorcycle, and you know, sorry to everyone back home watching. Hopefully next race we will come back fighting strong. Laguna Seca is a really positive track for me, so to that, thank you guys.
Thanks, Matt.
You can hear the Ducati go by on that one, so Kyle Wyman's still on the racetrack. But back up front, you can see that the number 2 of Josh Herrin has gotten by Garrett Gerloff.
And that's a concern. That's going to be a big concern for Beaubier, because Josh is really good down into that the turns called Agony and Ecstasy down there, turns 7 and 8. So
right now, Cam Beaubier in a Yoshimura Suzuki sandwich.
Jeremy Coffey is off, we're hearing.
Number 42. He crashed himself out of 9th place. So that would have been a great result for Jeremy Coffey. So he's down in this one. So we'll see if they can get that incident cleared up, or is this going to go to a red flag incident, and then MotoAmerica's got a decision to make. So let's keep on racing.
He's getting himself back up, so we'll have a look at this, Greg, see where this happens. This is coming out of, oh, wow. That was weird.
Ooh, Max Flinders, good way to...
Max got by, but that was strange. He had the bike almost upright.
Yeah, that was really strange.
That was really strange there. That was on the edge of the turn 7.
And that's off the race line as well. You saw all that gravel being pushed onto asphalt. That's not part of the racing surface. So looks like race action continues here. So Beaubier still with work to do.
30.6, 30.7 that last time through. 30.7 for Josh Herrin as well.
I just keep looking at Beaubier's tires. I just taking a look at that rear tire to see, you know, if he had overworked him in that first part of the race.
He's lining up something here too. The thing is, Greg, is that Tony just stops the bike in the middle of the apex. So, oh, he's going to have a go. Wow.
There goes Cameron Beaubier up the inside on Tony Elias. He squirts off the corner. Can he hold on to it? Tony Elias trying to go side by side. He's got position on Beaubier.
Cameron's just trying to let go of the brake lever. Look at him try to cut it back up underneath. And is he going to beat him to the right-hander? He does. Savvy move there by Cameron Beaubier for sure.
So Beaubier happy to lead for the moment. Now, does he have extra pace that Tony Elias doesn't have? Tony's going to get behind the bubble onto the front straightaway. Into turn 1. Tony's trying to go up the inside.
Oh,
he gets it done.
Can he turn it back underneath him? Can Cameron go back up underneath and stand Tony up? He does. Tony's going to have to drive out of here, but Cameron's going to have the right side of the track. Let's see how this plays out.
Tony Elias back with the lead.
Wow. And look at Garrett Gerloff. It looked like he was making a move on Herrin just behind.
The Gerloff to P3. 4 factory racers going at it here at Utah Motorsports Campus, with 4 laps to go in this one.
Tony's so good at controlling the pace at the apex of that corner, so that it makes it to where it's hard for Cameron to do anything with him down here. So Cameron fired a shot at a turn that's very hard to do it in, going into Twelly turn out of the Attitudes. We're getting back to that area now on lap 6 of 10.
Question is, has Tony played his cards too early and showing where he's strong? Ooh, Beaubier on that transition, man. That bike got all kinds of loose.
He's going to do it again, Greg.
Here comes Beaubier on the inside, sends it sideways. Dirt track style. Beaubier with the lead. Tony Elias hard on the gas, gets it right back.
Yep.
Wow.
It's good racing right now.
And Tony's closing the door in that corner.
And Garrett's right there now with Cam, and he's trying to look up the inside of his teammate. So last thing Cameron probably wants to see is another Yamaha trying to stuff it up underneath him, but that door's open. Garrett's going.
Garrett Gerloff is due for a race win in his sophomore season. He is hungry for it. We've seen the emotion of Garrett Gerloff when he hasn't won a race when it was within his grasp.
Yeah, but this one's just a straight street fight now. We got 4 laps to go, and it's just a matter of where's the next shot's going to be fired and where they're going to be taken. You can see that Yoshbike just pulls away ever so slightly through here. You see how he just gets on the gas and he's able to close the door into that right-hander. Now, this next right that they go through, Cameron has a lot of entry speed. Tony just takes it right down to the bottom. You can see lines are going to be a little different, parks it, and you can see Cameron gets a big run on him. But there's nowhere for him to go once he gets there. It makes it very difficult for him to do anything.
31 threes. So it's Tony Elias leading from Cameron Beaubier and Garrett Gerloff. And they have pulled away from Josh Herron, who just ran off the track. But who is going to have it with the laps winding down here at Utah Motorsports Campus? So Josh Herron, Jason, ran off the track. So now it's left up to these 3.
Yep. It's going to be up to these 3 guys now, and the thing is that Cameron's got to just, what he has done is he's been very savvy with his moves and where he wants to go. See, there's no room for him there. That pass that he's pulling off right now going into the attitudes is so hard because if the guy starts tipping in on you, it goes off camber there. There's a little crest going in there. He's going straight to the apex, but he can't get the bike to turn. That's why he's running wide, and Tony turns it back up underneath him. Now Tony's seen that shot fired at him twice in the same place. He understands that it's coming probably again. This is down into turn 1 now. You can see these guys are pretty much line of stern all through here. But if Cameron's going to have to do another surprise move somewhere, the Yosh bike just accelerates so hard after Tony gets it stopped in the middle of the corner that it makes it hard for Cameron to really line anything up. So he's got to do something in specific spots. All through here, this next right-hander, Cameron's faster. But Tony just takes it to the bottom. See the difference in line? This time, Cameron opens up. See that little gap? Now he's trying to get a run on Tony.
Just using as much of the racetrack to figure out how he can get his Yamaha by that Suzuki. Tony Elias, fastest lap of the race at a 1:30.39. Last time by a 1:30.4. So they are at maximum pace in this 10-lap sprint race. The restart.
He's close again, Greg. Look how close he is. He's taking another shot right now.
Got a lot of confidence in Tony's riding ability too.
But see, Tony's shutting it off now. Tony has now moved that line over and in, so it makes it harder for Cameron to go even tighter again. And this is where you start to put a lot of trust in your fellow riders, that if they see that door is closed and making it almost, look, he's almost on the white line going into this right-hander.
Boy, Tony just gets that motorcycle side to side so quickly to try to close those lines down. And there's, again, a nice part. So look how tight. Cameron's trying to get a drive. Onto the front straightaway they go. Their start-finish line. You can see that Elias is pulling away.
Yeah, but that's just...
Hey, there's 2 laps to go, Jay. Cam's got to do something more. He's got to have something lined up for the last lap and just try to rough him up.
Well, we've seen plenty of times in the past Cameron doing something on the last laps of races where he pulls a rabbit out of his hat and runs unbelievably fast times. Tony just, the problem is it's just so hard to pass when you have 2 guys that are close together. Even though we've seen a lot of passing, the guy at the front is really, really good at protecting where he wants to be on. So here's the drive. See, Cameron's actually letting him get out a little bit out of that right-hander so he can try to roll through that turn and try to potentially do something down into here, but it becomes really hard. Now, if you watch our on-bar shot, they're going to come out of this turn up to these attitudes. This is where Cameron's been really fast. So they're going to go left, then right, then back to the left again. Cameron Beaubier is really good on the exit here. And this is where he has fired a couple shots before, but he's just a little bit too far back this time, and Tony's closing off the entry.
Lap and a half for Elias. Leading the way on the 24 Yoshimura Suzuki. Here comes Beaubier. Cooling his bike down. Gets a look at the corner coming up. All the while, Gerloff's hanging tight. If these 2 get together and make a mistake, guess who's going to win this race? The 31. Championship on the line. Halfway through this season, valuable points. I don't think Garrett Gerloff is even caring at this point. He's just out to fight for himself and that race win. Here we go, final lap of this race. Tony Elias deep into turn number 1, foot off. Don't see that very often from Tony, so we know he's got it in his head right now. He's trying to break away. Fastest lap of the race, credit to Garrett Gerloff last time by. The pace of these 3 riders. Oh, look how much track he's using.
Yep. Cameron Beaubier is trying to turn it back up underneath. Now let's see if he allows that gap a little bit more and tries to get a run on Tony Elias on the exit of this turn. Just can't get close enough. Tony just gets down to the bottom, and the Yosh bike has so much grunt from the apex. And look at him. See how tight he is? He's not going to just open up the door and let somebody go up underneath him. That's the experience right there of knowing that he has a guy behind him that's willing to take the shot. But if you can thwart that early and let him see that you're not going to let that door open, it's going to make it much harder. Here we go.
Beaubier's been strong. 1 bike leg separating those 2. Tony out to the edge. Beaubier now, what? Trying around the outside, maybe trying to square him up a little bit.
But see, Tony controls that speed, and Cameron right now is going to take a shot. There it goes, Greg.
Here's Cameron Beaubier going up the inside. He's going to go right again. He can't get the throttle open. Tony has got inside position. Could this be it? Tony Elias will go right to the apex. Cameron Beaubier trying to do the impossible. He's on the gas. No, Tony's off the corner. Well, underneath the bubble, and Tony Elias, after a red flag, will take another win in the EBC Brake Superbike class.
What a great last lap. And there's Josh Herron. He's going to come across in 4th. Then we're going to have J.D. Beach and Jake Lewis come across in short order right behind Josh.
How about Tony Elias? Oh,
yeah,
look at that. These 2 guys talking. They knew they had a good race on.
That was a great race. I mean, that was clean as you can come.
More MotoAmerica after this. Happy Father's Day to this guy.
Yep, there's a shot out the back of his motorcycle. And this is him going back past Cameron after Cameron made a pass down there in that Tuella turn. Very hard place to pass, but he was always able to turn it back up underneath him. You can see he's got a lot of Yamaha blue behind him in this shot. But you know, you said something, Greg, about being a pivotal point of the year. It's just as big for Tony Elias after his mistake at MotoAmerica in the last race to come here and get 2 wins at a track that none of us had seen. Here's a good look at our race results.
So it's Tony, Cam, and Garrett. Josh Herron recovering for 4th. J.D. Beach, Jake Lewis. Jake Gagne, Jason Uribe in his return here on that Honda CBR 1000 RR. Matthew Orange with a good 9th place finish for him. Then you have Max Flinder, Sam Bernarico, Kyle Wyman, and then it's Jeremy Coffey, Peterson, David Anthony. Those are non-finishers in this race. Unfortunately, Matthew Skultz with that red flag as well.
Unfortunately, Matthew Skultz's demise there with about 11 or 12 laps left to go in this race worked out great for Tony Elias today. He's walking away from here with a double win after his disappointment at MotoAmerica. Thought he rode amazing, and those guys rode hard the last few laps of the race. Cameron threw everything he could at him.
Well, the biggest thing is he extends his championship points lead, and here they are. So for Tony Elias, it's now 26 points, so back up to another full race. Garrett Gerloff at 65, kind of in no man's land, all by himself in 3rd. Then Herron 82, J.D. Beach 8 behind him. Matthew Skultz, Lewis, David Anthony, and Cam Peterson behind. We had a great time here at Utah Motorsports Campus. Thanks so much for joining us here on FS2's coverage. For Jason Pridmore and Hannah Lopa, I'm Greg White. We will see you in a few weeks' time from WeatherTech, Laguna Seca.